Hello. Hi, Elena.
Hi.
Well, I'm Miriam from Metal Hammer, Spain. And well,
Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
it's a real pleasure to have you here.
Thank
So
you.
let's start.
Yes.
So to begin, tell me, what does infected rain sound like in 2026 and why?
Good question. The way Infected Rain sounds in 2026, we will have to see during our tour.
Well,
Yay! No, seriously though. I um I think that it is the most fresh and the most emotional we have ever been. Seriously, what we are preparing right now for Mutation Phase tour is so emotional and so exciting for me as a musician. I can't wait to share this with everybody and to hear people's opinion about this new presentation of the band they already knew, or for the new people. It's more like a fresh view on our music, because we are revisiting certain older songs and revisiting a lot our sound for newer songs as well. And I really love our sound right now, and I think that it's very important for the musician to like what they do, because if you don't feel and don't like what you do, it's very hard to really understand if it's good or it's bad, if people like it or they don't. But when you like it, and it's very true to what you want to stand for, what you are right now in the moment, I feel like this is like the optimal somehow result, you know what I mean? Like, because you go towards what you liked, you go towards your aspirations, your standards, your levels of perception. And if that makes sense, I don't want to sound it make it sound complicated, but it's just, I guess, a newer version of the old us.
nice. So tell me, if your song had like three pillars, like rhythm, harmony, texture, which one leads this new sound you are telling me about?
Well, all of them really. I think that a good sounding, song, album, soundtrack, so on, has to have a little bit of both. Because if you don't have a good rhythm, you won't feel that urge of moving, But rhythm is like the heartbeat of a song, so you have to have a good rhythm, no matter what genre you play in, And I think it's important to have also the melody can be so much. There's like infinite versions of a melody that could be perfect, right? So of course a melody, even in the heaviest song, there is a melody. Believe it. Yeah. So it's all important, and I feel like a good song, a definition of a good song is a song that has all of these very well selected and put together. This rhythm goes well with this melody goes well with this chord, with this emotion, with this, I don't know. I feel like texture, also a little bit too much texture sometimes can feel overwhelming. And I feel like certain songs, in general, like in music industry, can overpower with textures, like so many layers of different sounds. But at the same time, you can only make it prettier and garnish the melody and the rhythm with all these layers of texture that you build together, even of instruments that you don't really play live. We love, for example, adding texture of electronic pads, mixing up certain instruments that are a little bit more unique, more typical for specific countries, because we want to bring that specific atmosphere to the song. So it all depends on the mood of the song, really.
Mhm. And when you compose from the compositional standpoint, how does one of your songs start with the melody you are talking about, with a specific emotion, with the riff? How
So
does?
Good question. I think that this question is a better question to ask my musicians. For example, my guitar player, he is the main songwriter in the Infected Rain, and I write the lyrics and compose the vocal melody. Now, because he starts with the instrumental, I feel like the only part I can tell you here is that definitely the actual theme slash emotion and direction this song is gonna go comes after the base of the song is created. Like, for example, the skeleton of a song can be created in the most raw form, and I can already start thinking, okay, what emotions do this melody, this music make me feel? Is it going to be, can I choose this kind of lyrics, those kind of lyrics, or this kind of emotion? And then slowly when I add a little bit of me, and I'm like, I think that this is what I see, this is how I feel this song. Now my musicians, they add their own signature sound, they change certain things on the drum level, on the guitar level. So really it all starts from a melody, from like an idea, and then it evolves into an instrumental raw skeleton of a song. Then it goes to me, and then I add a little bit of me, and then it goes back to my musicians. Now that they see my approach here, they add or switch around certain things, or maybe they leave it the way it is because it's already like they like it. Often they can also suggest certain things vocally for me. Like they say, let's say they got an idea, they're like, oh, I really like the way this chorus sounds, how about we add even this thing? And I love to try out all the ideas that were thrown at me by my musicians, because I have full trust in their taste, and I love trying. I feel like trying different things really helps me evolve as a musician and understand my capability as a musician as well, because often I'm challenged with certain notes, with certain like amount of words or certain rhythms, where I'm like, I feel like a rapper sometimes, which is, something that I always wanted to try, to say a lot of words in the best rhythm possible. Like, it's so cool. I grew up listening to, alternative music in all genres, not necessarily only in rock and roll. Like, I loved everything that was out of the ordinary and emotional and powerful like that. So I love trying things out. Basically, after that, we get a better idea of what the song is going to sound like and what its message. And then it's very little is left just to add a little bit of texture. Like you said, I feel like texture comes a little bit after. Like, for example, we are working on a song right now, which is a completely new song that will be on a new album. Like, sometimes, I don't know when the album will come out, because we are just trying to take our time with it. It's a very fun song. And then all of a sudden I got stuck in one part, because I had so many vocal ideas and I liked them all, and we couldn't choose which ones we like. So then eventually we started adding layers of violin and some other amazing like sounding add-ons, and all of a sudden it was super clear what to do vocally, because which one to choose, because we liked all of them, and we're like, oh my god, now which one do we choose? And
it's hard to decide.
yes, correctly. So it's interesting with every. So sometimes a song comes together super fast, sometimes it takes a longer time, and then I have to like take a break from it and get back to it in a couple of days, so my head is a little bit more clear, fresher mind, maybe some new ideas. So pretty, that's the composing process when it comes to new songs.
And about your vocal range, because it's wide. I mean, you use screams, fresh screams, gutturals, clean vocals. Do you train with a classical technique, or how is your formation? Is more experimental? How do you do?
So Of course, I've tried many things. I've tried different things, especially in the very first 5/7 years of my career. I didn't have much source to do my research for many reasons. Back then, there was very little available online, and there was very little available in general in my country. Slowly, however, I never gave up, and I wanted to learn because I've never studied music before. In my past, I've never been in a different band than Infected Rain. So I felt I was very curious, and I was very excited to discover this part of myself. However, I felt a little bit of this pressure, which was like an invisible heavy blanket on my shoulders, which no one put on me. I put it on myself. It was more of like, okay, all my musicians in my band, they have knowledge in music, they have experience in other bands, and I don't. So I have to catch up. I have to learn. I have to really, put my sleeves up and do everything that I can. So I did some vocal lessons in the University of Music in my country. And that I did that for like 3 years or more. Super, super fun lessons with an amazing vocal teacher from the University of Music in the city I was born. And then slowly I discovered this really cool, badass teacher that was popping up everywhere at the time as a really knowledgeable vocal teacher specifically for alternative vocals. So I started researching, and I found out she has 2 DVDs. I'm talking about Melissa Cross. Melissa Cross is an American vocal teacher, and she is a speech therapist. She works with everybody who uses their voice, especially as at their job. Like a lot of people uses their voices, like actors, teachers. There's so much, and it is very important not to hurt yourself when you do this every day. You don't have a choice. It's not an instrument that you can just buy a new one.
Mhm.
It's a muscle that you have to know how to use, how to take care of. And slowly I was studying the DVDs. I bought the DVDs of Melissa Cross. I was studying everything I could. But it wasn't until 2013 when I actually had the opportunity to meet Melissa Cross in person and have my first vocal lesson with her. 2013, New York City. I was able to get in the schedule and meet the amazing Melissa Cross, which became my main primary vocal teacher, my mentor, and also my friend. I can always rely on her. I can always ask for an opinion and advice. She's always been there for me. She's been there for me when I was very low mentally, and on breaking points in my life where that really affected my vocals and really affected my productivity. She was there when I was going through surgeries, and I was also terrified of how my voice is going to sound after. And she's been the one to teach me how to fall in love with my own voice and how to feel my own voice without ever being, like wanting to sound like somebody else or to, push myself too hard. There are certain things that are, they are like a human factor. And this human factor, unfortunately, is not something that vocal teachers teach to their students. Human factors like, how to behave in certain moments when you feel too tired to perform, or too upset to perform because something happened in your life. Because, we have regular lives and regular needs, and we are human beings that sometimes shit happens to us too.
Of course, everything affects your voice. It's normal.
I know. And the moment that you are upset or stressed or exhausted because you didn't sleep all night because you were thinking about that, that moment is the breaking point where if you let it affect you to the full amount, it is very hard to perform, right? And we all perform live. We all perform full presence, full dedication on stage. So it is so important. So I'm sorry if I gave you a longer introduction, but I feel like Melissa Cross deserves it. So Melissa Cross.
So let's change then. Well, tell me.
I'm sorry. I'm also a strong believer that the second most important thing, besides finding the right teacher or the right source to learn from, the second thing is just work hard. Work hard, because no matter how much talent you were born with, if you don't practice, your muscles won't have memory of what to do. You have to practice. Even when you are at home and you're not on tour, little things that you can do here and there to keep your muscles in shape. It's just like when you go to the gym, I'm sure it happened to many of us to go to the gym a little bit unprepared, not warmed up enough, or haven't been in the gym for months and all of a sudden decided to go again. How sore do we feel next day, 2 days, 3 days? Imagine when you have to perform a show every day, how prepared you have to be, not to feel like you've been, in the gym for 3 hours after years of not going. So pretty much find your source and work hard. That's it. And if you truly love what you're doing, these two things are the easiest things to do.
Of course, you like what you're doing, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So changing topic, let's talk about AI and music. I'm interested in this topic because now AI can now write songs, even clone your voice. Does that excite you or worry you? What is your opinion with this AI?
That's a good question. I've started having questions like this included in my interviews years ago when the first AI started popping up. ChatGPT was very fresh out there. Other AIs were just starting to pop up here and there. And a lot of journalists were curious, how do I feel about it? Because people compose things to AI, people write things to AI, and so on. Now, I remember also I was born in an era where there was no internet. I'm in the 80s. So I remember how much confusion and how much also aggression there was towards internet just when I was a teenager, when, internet was just becoming a thing and only rich people could afford to have internet at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I know there was internet cafes people would go and like that. Pretty much the same with cell phones. I was born when there was no smartphones. Rich people had cellular phones, and if you were doing okay, you had home stationed phone. I didn't have either. You know what I mean? So I'm only saying all this because I want to invite people to understand things are going to change. Things are going to change whether we like it or not. Of course, I would like music to stay as authentic as possible. Of course, I would like music to stay as human, as raw and real as possible. However, I don't feel like dividing musicians or composers into, oh, you don't write your own music, you're a bad musician. Musicians were hiring composers from the beginning of dawn.
Yeah.
Saying there are more musicians that don't compose their own music, but they perform it because they pay someone else. And there's no shame in that. Whitney Houston was not writing her own music.
But it's still a human being who writes music. So
yes, correct. This is just an example. This is just from the perspective of a band mate, a musician that performs all the time. Okay. Now, When it comes to the jobs that AI or computers are taking from human beings, of course, but that's in every industry.
Yeah, but I mean, AI
That
is a creative
my
tool.
uh,
Like you think that artificial intelligence can capture that raw emotion that you were
no,
talking about? Because okay,
maybe be possible in some years. Maybe like they will they will perfect it. I'm sorry. Maybe people will perfect AI to this extent eventually. But do I think it's possible? I don't think so right now. I don't think it's possible to recreate an emotion that can only be human. I really don't. However, in my opinion, as a person again that was born in the 80s and saw many changes coming and taking people's jobs, I remember, listen, you probably remember that too, because it was very common in Europe. So do you remember when to make a phone call internationally you had to go to the post office?
yes, of course. I'm from the 80s as well.
Exactly. So there was a human being dialing for you, connecting you. You were paying extremely amount of money, extreme money, and you were talking internationally from the post office, not from home or from your cellular, right? So with time that job disappeared, but other jobs pop up. I think that evolution is inevitable. Evolution in computer, evolution in human brain, human capability, and so on. There's evolution in everything. Yes, things are not as convenient, and of course this is directly attacking my industry, and I often see unfair situations where, we found out eventually, like recently, that apparently Spotify can remix your songs that are already there without your permission, put it there with I don't know what. It's crazy, it's sad, but I just choose, instead of losing all my energy and my clear of mind, right? Instead of losing that on unfair things that are happening in the world, I will put that better in the places that I know I can make a difference.
Yeah.
And those things are, sitting down and writing with your pen and paper. I'm like old fashioned like that, like put notes by my hand. And I still like certain things. I love feeling the paper. I love, reading books and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that everybody should be like me. And that doesn't, I have a younger sister. She is 20 years younger than me. For her, this is her reality. This is her time. This is her generation right now. And this is not weird for her because she doesn't know how it was before.
Mm-hmm.
And so on, it always will be like that. I really don't think that by putting our foot down, we can, change the evolution of the computer, how advanced the computers can be nowadays and programs and everything. Instead, I would want to invite everybody to use these tools we have to our benefit. To, like, for example, I absolutely love using AI for certain explanations of certain words that I don't understand very well because I speak many languages. And sometimes I read certain things and I like a word and I want to know it better. So I ask AI to explain it for me, show me certain examples. I learned so much about it, Now, again, everybody can use it in the way they want. This is the way I like using it. And maybe I will learn to use it somehow else differently in the future. I know it's scary to see certain jobs go away. And I don't even know if in 5 or 10 years it will even be cool to go on tour as a human being and play live from the stage. Maybe that will change too. I don't know. But I choose to live in the moment and to enjoy what is given to me in this moment in time, and to enjoy that as tools, to
Mm-hmm.
use all the tools that were given just to be better. When people there's a huge difference, of course, between, you know, a person that sits on the couch and does everything with computer AI and then makes huge amount of money online, doesn't even go on tour, right? And good for them. Amazing. It's up to the audience, though, what they want to listen to, what they want to feel, what they want to spend their time with. You know, we cannot choose for the audience. We can only give them a choice. And the choice is, hey, look, there's a song of Infected Rain, or there's a song made by you know, fully computer. Maybe they will choose both, or maybe they will choose one. I don't know. But I can't worry about things that are not in my power.
So talking about the future, you are coming to Spain in April,
Yeah.
11 and 12, Barcelona and Madrid.
Yeah.
Tell me, what can your Spanish audience expect from you? Any surprise? The gig or?
Oh, yes, we do. We do have a small surprise that obviously I can't really tell you because it has to be a surprise till the end. We are bringing this to every single city. It's actually multiple surprises. About some of them we already spoke, but there are going to be some surprises when it comes to our performance. And like I mentioned to you in the beginning, I feel like this entire tour is very unique because of how much change we added to Infected Rain's visuals, Infected Rain's sound, and of course, as well, the way we present the songs. So it's going to be great. There's a whole production that is completely different. We wanted to make it interesting for people that come all the time to our shows, and they feel like they've seen a completely new show. And we want to make it interesting for the newer audience that is so used to everything that's going on right now, and they can see Infected Rain in this light right now. So yeah, you just expect the most raw, the most real emotional music that we can present.
You told me you were working on a new song. So do you have a new material? Do you have any
Yes.
date for the new album, or what can we expect
No.
for the album?
So
No?
the only date that is available right now is March 19th. On
Okay.
March 19th, we are releasing a new single, and it's called Stranger. Stranger is a very unique song. Um, I love the reaction so far. So there's some people that thought it was completely AI because we shared an image of one of my looks. And on one hand, you feel like, okay, guys, everything that is different now is AI. But on the other hand, you're like, okay, that means we did a great job. They can't even see that that's me. They can't even see that it's great job. I mean, okay, let's see what the reaction will be, because visually and musically, this song is hits quite hard. It's very emotional. It's about let's say it's about a transformation, an inner transformation that I have felt for the past year and a half. And it's in a way depressing to realize certain things, and on the other hand, it's very refreshing to see these changes happen. So it's like a really interesting story about, you know, when you become like almost like an alien to yourself, like, you know, the you can't recognize yourself. Look in the mirror, that I'm sure happens often to many of us, when we are like, okay, I don't recognize this person I'm looking at. Like, what's going on? Is it just, you know, the time changing my face? Is it me changing against my will? What's going on? You know, and finding these answers, I feel like really help on a mental level, on a physical level, and on a productivity level, so much. And I wanted to write about it. And yeah, so I'm very, very proud of Stranger, and I can't wait for people to see it. We will be performing Stranger live on tour, and you are the first one to know about it.
Thank you. And all the Metal Hammer readers as well. We
Yay!
know. So tell me, the last question. 10 years from now, what do you want people to say Lena changed in metal?
I don't really have this kind of goals.
No?
No, I the only goal that I have through music is to make sure that people know they are not alone. They are not alone in their struggles, because I write about my own life experience and the emotions I'm going through, my own like mental battles, and my own perspective on reality in a way. So when I do that, I do that for two reasons. First reason is a little bit selfish. And I actually like that very much, because I don't do too much for myself. And I feel like this is the best thing I've ever done for myself. Having music as an outlet for my emotions, for my sensations, for everything I'm going through has helped me in life so much. It's like my own therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very important for me to stay true to myself, true to the music, because of that in the first place. Secondly, just as important, I want people like me, or people that feel similar to me or go through similar things, to, well, when they hear this song and when they heard this song from someone else, or accidentally, or remembered about this song because they heard it years ago, I want them to feel like they are not alone, and that, this kind of unity is really difficult to describe. I have bands and songs that have done that for me growing up as a teenager, as a younger adult, and so on. Songs that became like a soundtrack of that time of my life,
Mm-hmm.
and it helped me so much. And honestly, if this can bring Infected Rain on higher stairs, let's say that, or on bigger stages, that's absolutely fantastic. Of course, I would like to say that I don't aspire to play on huge, gigantic stages of like Rock am Ring, or stages like that. Of course, we all want that, but that's not the main goal. That's not why I'm doing it. This is not an easy job to do only for that. You know what I mean? Like, sacrifice that musicians do, going on tour, composing, doing this, doing that, exposing themselves here and there, is actually quite intense. It's not for everybody, and the best reward here is what music does to me while I'm performing it live, while I'm listening to it, while I'm composing it, how important it is for me as a human being, and how important it can be for somebody else in a moment of need. And that is what I will always hope for.
Mm-hmm.
1 year from now, 5, 10, 20, no matter how big the band becomes, I really hope that is always there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, yeah, we have 2 minutes for rapid fire questions, like the fun ones. You have to answer as soon as possible. Okay?
Okay. Yes.
One word for your next chapter. One word.
One word. Unmask.
Okay. If your scream had a color, it would be
Red.
a band you would love to tour with.
Deftones.
Your most metal habit off stage.
My most metal habit. Interesting question. Actually. I don't really know. Maybe just to stay, to remain me, and just to be me like I am every day.
Okay. Studio
Yeah.
or stage?
Oh, stage, of course.
Silence or distortion?
Silence.
An album that changed your life?
I think it would be Nirvana, In Utero.
Mm-hmm. Country where the audience surprised you?
Bulgaria.
Oh. Improvisation or perfection?
Ooh, I'm not very good at improvisation. I'm actually super anxious when I need to improvise. I like to be prepared. Yeah, I can improvise just a little bit, but not full improvisation, unfortunately. I wish.
Okay, and the last one, if you weren't a singer, what instruments would you play?
I think it would be a violin.
Wow, nice one.
Yeah, I always liked violin since I was a child. It just has such unique sound, almost like a beautiful siren cry. I don't know. It's so different.
It's never too late. So, Lena, thank you so much for the chat.
Muchísimas gracias. Nos vemos en Barcelona y Madrid.
Oh, your Spanish is good. Thank you so much, Lena. See you on the road. See you in Madrid.
See you. See you. You're coming to the show?
Yes, of course. I will be there. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, see you there.
See
Bye.
you. Bye. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.